Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina, Living Lean Six Sigma, or Living L6S, where I live, breathe, do continuous improvement. Today we're going to go into General Mechanics Oral and Practical Test Guide. So first portion's gonna be the oral, and then the second portion's gonna be the practical. And before we get started, this is part one. There's gonna be two parts of general. Thanks. Okay. Question. What is the basic unit of voltage? Volt. Question. What is the basic unit of current? Amp. Question. What is the basic unit of resistance? Ohm. Question. Which law of electricity is the most important for an aircraft mechanic to know? Ohm's law. Question. What are the three elements in Ohm's law? Answer. Voltage, current, and resistance. Volts, amps, and ohms. Question. What are 5 sources of electrical energy? Answer. Magnetism, chemical energy, light, heat, and pressure. Question. What 4 things affect the resistance of an electrical conductor? Answer. The material, the cross-sectional area, and the length and temperature. Question. How can you tell the resistance of a composition resistor? Answer. By a series of colored bands around one end of the resistor. Question. What 3 things must all electrical circuits contain? Answer. A source of electrical energy, a load to use the energy, and conductors to join the source and the load together. Question. What is the purpose of a capacitor? Answer. To store electrical energy in electrostatic fields. Question. What is the basic unit of capacitance? Answer. Farad. Question. Why should electrolytic capacitors not be used in an AC circuit? Answer. They are polarized. An electrolytic capacitor will pass current of one polarity but will block the current of the opposite polarity. Question. What is meant by inductance? Answer. The ability to store electrical energy in electromagnetic fields. Store electrical energy in electromagnetic fields. Question. What is the basic unit of inductance? Answer. Henry. Question. What is meant by impedance? Answer. The total opposition to the flow of alternating current. It is the vector sum of resistance, capacitance, reactance, and inductive reactance. Question. How can you find the polarity of an electromagnet? Answer. Hold the electromagnet in your left hand and with your fingers encircling the coil in the direction of the electron's flow, your thumb will point to the north end of the electromagnet. Question. In what units is impedance measured? Answer. Ohms. Question. What is the basic unit of electrical power in a DC circuit? Answer. Watt. Question. What is meant by a kilowatt? Answer. It's 1,000 watts, kilo being 1,000. Question. What happens to the current in a DC circuit if the voltage is increased but the resistance remains the same? Answer. The current increases. Question. What are 3 types of DC circuits with regard to the placement of their various circuit components? Answer. You have series, you have parallel, and you have series parallel. Question. How many cells are there in a 24-volt lead acid battery? Answer. 12. Question. What is the specific gravity of the electrolyte in a fully charged lead acid battery? Answer. It's between 1.275 and 1.300. Question: what is the range of the temperatures of the electrolyte in a lead acid battery that does not, I repeat, does not require that you apply a correction when measuring its specific gravity? Answer: between 70 degrees and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Question: what instrument is used to measure the specific gravity of the electrolyte in a lead acid battery? Answer: a hydrometer. A hydrometer. Question: how is a lead acid battery compartment treated to protect it from corrosion? Answer: paint it with an asphaltic tar-based paint or with polyurethane enamel. Question: what is used to neutralize spilled electrolyte from a lead acid battery? Answer: a solution of bicarbonate of soda and water. Question: how high should the electrolyte level be in a properly serviced lead acid battery? Answer: only up to the level of the indicator in the cell. Question: what precautions should be taken in a maintenance shop where both lead acid and nickel cadmium batteries are serviced? Answer: keep the two types separate, and the tools used on one type should not be used on the other. Question: why is a hydrometer not used to measure the state of charge of a NiCad or nickel cadmium battery? Answer: the electrolyte of a NiCad battery does not enter into the chemical changes that occur when the battery is charged or discharged. Its specific gravity does not change appreciably. Question: what is used to neutralize spilled electrolyte from a NiCad battery? Answer: a solution of boric acid and water. Boric acid and water. NiCad, boric acid, and water. Question: what is meant by electromagnetic induction? Answer: the transfer of electrical energy from one conductor to another that is not electrically connected. Question: how many ohms are in a mega ohm? 1 million. Mega million. Question: what part of an amp is a milliamp? Answer: 1,000th. Milli, 1,000th. That's 0.001, 10th, 100th, 1000th. Next section, typical practical projects. Okay, you should know the following. You should know how to compute the voltage and current in an electrical circuit specified by the examiner. You should find the total resistance of a combination of resistors that are connected in series. Find the total resistance of resistors that are in parallel. Find the power used by an electric motor when the voltage and the current are unknown. You're going to know math. You're going to need to know math and some formulas. You're going to have to identify for the examiner electrical symbols used in the aircraft service manual. You're going to have to measure the voltage drop across each of the components in a series circuit specified by the examiner. Also, you're going to have to check an electrical circuit for opens or shorts using an ohm meter. You're going to have to measure the current in an electrical circuit using a multimeter. You're going to have to measure the resistance of several components using an ohm meter. You have to know how to use an electrical schematic diagram to locate the source of a malfunctioning or malfunctioned blank described by the examiner. You're going to have to be able to measure the state of charge of a lead acid battery. You're going to have to know the correct connect and lead acid battery to a constant current battery charger. Correctly remove electrolyte that has been spilled from a lead acid battery and protect the surface around the battery from corrosion. Select the proper size terminal and correctly swage it to an electrical wire. Give a group of composition resistors. Identify the resistance and tolerance of each one by the color code. Okay, you're gonna have to use your manual or your book to have that information available. Okay, you're gonna have to demonstrate to the examiner the correct way to remove and install an aircraft lead acid battery, and then demonstrate to the examiner the correct way to check a solid state diode to determine whether or not it is good or if it is open or shorted. Okay, diode. All right. Next section, aircraft drawings. Typical oral questions. Question: what is meant by tolerance of an aircraft drawing? This is the answer. This is the allowable plus or minus variation of the dimension given. Question: what is meant by clearance on an aircraft drawing? Answer: the amount of space or separation that is allowed between two components or parts. Question: what information is given in the title block of an aircraft drawing? Answer: the name and address of the company who made the part, the name of the part, the scale of the drawing, the name of the draftsman, the name of the engineer approving the part, and the number of the part. Question: how are dimensions shown on an aircraft drawing? Answer: by numbers shown in the break of a dimension line. Question: how can you know that an aircraft drawing you are using is the most current version of the drawing? Answer: by the number in the revision block and by the log of the most recent drawings. Question: how many views can there be in an orthographic projection? Answer: 6. Question: how many views are used to show most objects in an aircraft drawing? Answer: 3. Top, middle, side. Question: what is the purpose of a center line on an aircraft drawing? Answer: this is a line that shows the center of the object in the drawing. Question: what is a fuselage station number? Answer: the distance in inches from the datum. It's also measured along the longitudinal axis of the fuselage. Question: where is the title block normally located on an aircraft drawing? Answer: in the lower right-hand corner of the drawing. Question: what is the purpose of a cutting plane on an aircraft drawing? Answer: it shows where the object has been cut to allow an auxiliary drawing to be made. The arrows on a cutting plane show the direction the auxiliary drawing is viewed. Question: how is the alternate position of a part shown on an aircraft drawing? Answer: by a thin line made up of a series of long dashes separated by 2 short dashes. Next section, this is the aircraft drawing typical practical projects. Okay, identify the following lines on an aircraft drawing specified by the examiner: center line, hidden line, alternate position line, cutting plane. Next, use a performance chart for a specific aircraft engine. Find the brake horsepower developed when the RPM and the BMEP are known. Next, use the electrical wire chart from AC 4313-1B and find the correct size of wire to use when the current, allowable voltage drop, and length of wire are known. Next, use a brake-specific fuel consumption curve for a specific aircraft engine. Find the fuel flow in gallons per hour given the RPMs, revolutions per minute. Next, find the dimensions that are specified by the examiner of an object on an aircraft drawing. Next, make a sketch of an aircraft repair specified by the examiner. Give all of the information that is needed to make the repair. Next, locate a part on an aircraft drawing specified by the examiner by using the zone numbers. Next, identify the change number of an aircraft drawing specified by the examiner. Next, make a sketch of an aircraft part using the scale the examiner designates. Next, use an electrical schematic diagram specified by the examiner. Identify the components shown by the schematic symbol. Next section, weight and balance. Typical oral questions. Question: where must a record be kept of a current empty weight and current center of gravity (CG) of an aircraft? Answer: in the aircraft flight manual or weight and balance records required by 14 CFR 23.1583. Question: what is meant by the datum that is used for weight and balance computations? Answer: a readily identified reference chosen by the aircraft manufacturer from which all longitudinal locations on the aircraft are referenced. Question: what are the distances of all the items installed in an aircraft measured from the datum when computing weight and balance? Answer: this makes it possible to find the point about which the aircraft would balance, the CG. Question: what are two reasons weight and balance control are important to in an aircraft? Answer: for safety of flight and for most efficient performance of the aircraft. Question: what is meant by a moment in the computation of weight and balance? Answer: a force that tends to cause rotation, moment about a point, or rotation about a point. It is the product of the weight of an object in pounds and the distance of the object from the datum in inches. Question: how do you find the moment of an item that is installed in an aircraft? Answer: multiply the weight of the item in pounds by its distance from the datum in inches. Question: what is meant by the arm of an item that is installed in an aircraft? Answer: the distance in inches between the center of gravity of the item and the datum. Question: why must we consider the category under which an aircraft is licensed when we compute its weight and balance? Answer: the different categories under which the aircraft can be licensed have different maximum gross weights and different CG ranges. Question: where can you find the leveling means that are specified for a particular aircraft? Answer: the type certificate datasheet TCDS for that aircraft. Question: where is the arm of an item installed in an aircraft recorded? Answer: the TCDS. Question: what must be done to find the empty weight of an aircraft if it has been weighed with fuel in its tanks? Answer: the weight of the fuel and its moment must be subtracted from the weight and the moment of the aircraft as it was weighed. Question: what is meant by the tare weight that is used in a weight and balance computation? Answer: the weight of the chocks and the other items that are used to hold the aircraft on the scales. Question: what must be done to the tare weight when an aircraft is weighed? Answer: it must be subtracted from the scale reading to find the weight of the aircraft. Question: what is meant by minimum fuel as is used in the computation of an aircraft weight and balance? Answer: no more fuel than the quantity necessary for 1/2 hour of operation at rated maximum continuous power. It is the maximum amount of fuel used in a weight and balance computations when low fuel may be adversely affected or may adversely affect the most critical balance conditions. Question: what is meant by the maximum zero fuel weight of an aircraft? Answer: the maximum permissible weight of a loaded aircraft, which means passengers, crew, cargo, etc., minus its fuel, or everything except its fuel. Question, what is meant by undrainable fuel? Answer, the fuel that is left in the tank, lines, and components when an aircraft is placed in level flight position and the fuel drained at the main fuel strainer. This is also called residual fuel. Question, describe the way you would find an empty weight and empty weight center of gravity of an airplane if there are no weight and balance records available. Answer, the aircraft is weighed and the empty weight center of gravity is computed. These values are recorded in a new weight and balance record and are started for the aircraft. Question, what is meant by permanent ballast for an aircraft? Answer, weight that is permanently installed in an aircraft to bring the empty weight center of gravity into allowable limits. Question, what has the more critical center of gravity range, an airplane or a helicopter? Answer, a helicopter. Question, what equipment must be installed in an aircraft when it is weighed to find its empty weight center of gravity? Answer, all the equipment that is listed in the aircraft equipments list as required equipment or as equipment that is permanently installed. Question, what is the significance of an empty weight center of gravity range of an aircraft? Answer, if the empty weight center of gravity falls within the EWCG range, the aircraft cannot be legally loaded in such a way that its loaded center of gravity will fall outside of the allowable CG range. Not all aircraft have an EWCG range. Question, what is an empty weight center of gravity range not given in the TCDS type certificate data sheet for some aircraft? Answer, the empty weight center of gravity range is given only for aircraft that cannot be legally loaded in such a way that their load center of gravity will fall outside of the allowable limits. Okay, these are practical things you could do for weight and balance. Find the new empty weight and empty weight center of gravity for this aircraft after it has been altered by removing 2 seats and replacing them with a cabinet, 1 seat, and some radio gear. Aircraft empty weight will probably be 2,886 pounds. Empty weight total moment would be 107,865.78. Each removed seat weighs 15 pounds, located at station 73. Installed cabinet weighs 97 pounds, installed at station 73. New seat weighs 20 pounds, installed at station 73. Radio gear weighs 30 pounds, installed at station 97. Question, find the amount of ballast that is needed to bring this aircraft into its proper center of gravity range. Aircraft as loaded, weight would be 4,954 pounds. Aircraft loaded center of gravity is plus 30.5 inches aft of the datum. Loaded center of gravity range is positive 32.0 to positive 42.1 inches aft of the datum. The ballast arm is positive 162 inches. Question, find the distance in inches to the left of the fulcrum that a box weighing 20 pounds would have to be placed in order to balance a board that contains a box weighing 10 pounds located 4 feet to the right of the fulcrum and on the weighing 5 pounds. Let me try that again. And one weighing 5 pounds that is located 2 feet to the right of the fulcrum. Question, find the empty weight and empty weight center of gravity of an airplane that has the following scaled weights. Left main wheel is 1,765 pounds. Arm is positive 195.5 inches. Right main wheel is 1,775 pounds. Arm is positive 195.5 inches. Nose wheel is 2,322 pounds. Arm is positive 835.5 inches. Arm is positive 83.5 inches. Question. Find the empty weight and empty weight center of gravity of an aircraft that is specified by the examiner. Next question. Find the center of gravity of a fully loaded aircraft specified by the examiner. Next question. Find the amount of fuel that is needed by an aircraft specified by the examiner as the minimum fuel for an adverse loaded center of gravity condition. Next question. Prepare an aircraft specified by the examiner for weighing. Next, find the loaded weight and loaded weight center of gravity of a helicopter specified by the examiner. Determine whether or not it falls within its weight and center of gravity limits. Next, use the center of gravity envelope in a weight and balance report to find the forward and aft center of gravity limits for a specified weight of the aircraft. Next, locate the datum of an aircraft specified by the examiner using the appropriate TCDS, Type Certificate Data Sheet. Next, use the appropriate document, locate the jacking point of an airplane, explain to the examiner the precautions that should be taken when jacking the aircraft. Next section, fluid lines and fittings. Question, of what material are most low pressure rigid fuel lines made of? Answer, 1,100.5 hard or 3,003.5 hard aluminum alloy tubing. Question, is the size of a rigid fuel line determined by its inside or its outside diameter? Answer, by its outside diameter. Question, when routing a fluid line parallel to the electrical wire bundle, which should be on top? Answer, electrical wire bundle should be on top. You don't want to leak anything onto electrical wire. That's why liquids are always underneath wire. Question, what is the function of a ley line, the identification stripe or strip that runs the length of a flexible hose? Answer, this line shows the mechanic whether or not the line has been twisted. The line should be straight, not spiraled. Question, how can you distinguish an AN fluid line fitting from an AC fitting? Answer, the AN fitting has a shoulder between the end of the flare cone and the first thread. The thread of an AC fitting extends all the way to the flare cone. AC all the way to cone. Question, what are quick disconnect fluid line couplings normally used in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer, quick disconnect couplings are normally used where the engine-driven pump connects into the hydraulic system. Question, is the size of a flexible hose determined by its inside or by its outside diameter? Answer, by its inside diameter. So flexible hose is inside, rigid fuel line is outside. Question, what is the minimum amount of slack that must be left when a flexible hose is installed in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer, the hose should be at least 5% longer than its distance between the fittings. This extra length provides the needed slack. Question, how tight should an MS flareless fitting be tightened? Answer, tighten the fitting by hand until it's snug and then turn it with a wrench for 1/6 turn to 1/3 turn. Never turn it more than a third turn with a wrench. Question, what damage can be caused by over tightening an MS flareless fitting? Answer, over tightening drives the cutting edge of the sleeve deeply into the tube and weakens it. Question, what kind of rigid tubing can be flared with a double flare? Answer, 5052-O and 6061-T as in tango. aluminum alloy tubing in sizes from 1/8 inch to 3/8 inch OD, outside diameter. Question, what is the principal advantage of Teflon hose for use in an aircraft hydraulic system? Answer, Teflon hose retains its high strength under conditions of high temperature. Think of a Teflon pan, hot. Question, what precautions should be taken when flaring a piece of aluminum alloy tubing? Answer, the end of the tubing must be polished so it will not crack when it is stretched with a flaring tool. Question, how much pressure is used to proof test a flexible hose assembly? Answer, this varies with the hose, but it's generally about 2 times, on average, or generally it's about 2 times the recommended operating pressure for the hose. Practical for fluid lines and fittings. Make up a piece of rigid tubing that includes cutting it to the correct length, making a bend of the correct angle and radius, and correctly installing the type of fitting specified by the examiner. Next, make a proper single flare in a piece of aluminum alloy tubing. Next, make a proper double flare in a piece of aluminum alloy tubing. Next, install a fitting on a piece of flexible hose and proof test it. Next, install a piece of rigid tubing in an aircraft using the correct routing and approved mounting methods. Next, identify by the color code the type of fluid that is carried in various fluid lines in an aircraft. Next, install a properly present preset an MS flareless fitting onto a piece of rigid tubing. Next, repair a piece of damaged rigid tubing by installing a union and the proper connecting fitting. Next section. Aircraft materials, hardware, and processes. Oral questions. Question, what is the proper type of non-destructive inspection to use for locating surface cracks in an aluminum alloy casting or forging? Answer, Zyglo or dye penetrant. That's ZYGLO or dye penetrant. Question, explain the procedure to use when making a dye penetrant inspection of a part. Answer, clean the part thoroughly and apply the penetrant and allow it to soak for the recommended time. Remove all of the penetrant from the surface and apply the developer. Question, explain the procedure to use when making a magnetic particle inspection of a part. Answer, thoroughly clean the part, magnetize it as directed by the appropriate service manual. Flow the indicating medium over the surface and inspect it under a black light. When the inspection is complete, thoroughly demagnetize the part. Question, what inspection method would be most appropriate for checking a non-ferrous, non-iron, non-ferrous metal part for intergranular corrosion? Answer, eddy current inspection. Question, what inspection method would be most appropriate for checking the internal structure of an airplane wing for corrosion? Answer, X-ray inspection. Question, what is important that all engine parts which have been inspected by the magnetic particle method be completely demagnetized? Answer, if the parts are not completely demagnetized, they will attract steel particles that are produced by engine wear and will cause damage to bearing surfaces. Question, why is it important that all parts be thoroughly cleaned before they are inspected by the dye penetrant method? Answer, any grease or dirt in a fault will keep the penetrant from seeping into the fault. Question, why is it important that a piece of aluminum alloy be quenched immediately after it's removed from the heat treatment oven? Answer, any delay in quenching, which is dipping it in that liquid, any delay in quenching aluminum alloy after it is removed from the oven will allow the grain structure to grow enough that intergranular corrosion is likely to form in the metal. Question, explain the way steel structure is normalized after it has been welded. Answer, heat the steel structure to a temperature above its critical temperature and allow it to cool in still air. Question, why is a piece of steel tempered after it has been hardened? Answer, when steel is hardened, it becomes brittle, and tempering it removes some of the brittleness. Question, what is meant by an icebox rivet? Answer, a rivet made of 2017 or 2024 aluminum alloy. These rivets are heat treated and quenched and then stored in a sub-freezing icebox until they are ready to be used. The cold storage delays the hardening of the rivet. Question, what type of loading should be avoided when using a self-locking nut on an aircraft bolt? Answer, a self-locking nut should not, I repeat, should not be used for any applications where there are any rotational forces applied to the nut or to the bolt. Question, what determines the correct grip length of a bolt used in an aircraft structure? Answer, the grip length of the bolt should be the same as the combined thickness of the material being held by the bolt. Question, how tight should the nut be installed on a clevis bolt that is used to attach a cable fitting to a control surface horn? Answer, the nut on a clevis bolt should not be tight enough to prevent the clevis bolt turning in the cable fitting and the horn. Question, why is it very important that the surface of a piece of clad aluminum alloy not be scratched? Answer, the pure aluminum used for the cladding is non-corrosive, but the aluminum alloy below the cladding is susceptible to corrosion. If the cladding is scratched through, corrosion could form. Question, what determines the size of tip that is to be used when gas welding steel? Answer, the thickness of the material being welded. The size of the tip orifice determines the amount of flame produced and thus the amount of heat that is put into the metal. Question, how is the welding flux removed from a piece of aluminum that has been gas welded? Answer, it should be removed by scrubbing it with hot water and a bristle brush. Question, what must be done to a welded joint if it must be re-welded? Answer, all traces of the old weld must be removed so the new weld will penetrate the base metal. Question, what kind of measuring instrument is used to measure the runout of an aircraft engine crankshaft? Answer, a dial indicator. Question, what measuring instruments are used to measure the fit between a rocker arm shaft and its bushing? Answer, the outside diameter of the shaft is measured with the micrometer caliper. The inside of the bushing is measured with a telescoping gauge and the same micrometer caliper. Question, what is the smallest size cable that is allowed to be used in the primary control system of an aircraft? Answer, 1/8 inch diameter. Question, what type of control cable must be used when pulleys are used to change the direction of the cable travel? Answer, extra flexible cable, 7x19. Question, explain the way a piece of aluminum alloy is solution heat treated. Answer, the aluminum is heated in an oven to the proper temperature for a specified time, then it is removed and quenched in water. Question, what is meant by precipitation heat treatment of a piece of aluminum alloy? Answer, after a piece of aluminum has been solution heat treated, it is held at a specific elevated temperature for a period of time. Precipitation, heat treating is also called artificial aging. Question, how does filiform corrosion usually appear on an aircraft structure? Answer, as thread-like lines of puffiness under the film of polyurethane or other dense finish system top coats. Practicals for aircraft materials, hardware, and processes. Use dye penetrant. Inspect a part furnished by the examiner. Next, inspect a part by the magnetic particle inspection method. Correctly magnetize the part, inspect it, and properly demagnetize the part. Next, use a dial indicator to measure the round out of a crankshaft on an aircraft engine. Next, use a telescoping gauge and a micrometer caliper to measure the fit between a shaft and its bushing. Next, measure the diameter of a shaft to the nearest 10,000ths of an inch using a vernier micrometer caliper. Next, properly safety wire two turnbuckles in an aircraft's control system. Use the single wrap method for one turnbuckle and the double wrap method for the other. Next, give an assortment of aircraft bolts. Identify a close tolerance bolt, a corrosion resistant steel bolt, and an aluminum alloy bolt. Next, give an assortment of aircraft rivets. Identify an AD rivet, a DD rivet, and a D rivet, and an A rivet. So alpha delta, delta delta, delta, and then alpha. Next, install a swaged fitting on a piece of aircraft control cable. Next, correctly install a helicoil or helicoil. Insert it in an aluminum casting. Next, given a piece of metal with a bad weld, identify the reason the weld is not airworthy. Next, identify by the number of strand of wire a piece of extra flexible control cable and measure its diameter. Next, properly safety a series of bolts that are specified by the examiner. Next, properly install a cotter pin in a bolt that is fitted with a castellated nut. All right, we got more sections. All right, so that was part 1 for the oral and practical of general. Stay tuned for part 2. Thanks so much. See you in the next episode.